Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jamel from Fantasy Life, and today we're talking about Frost and MK11 and her buffs, baby. They made Frost valuable, or did they? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's find out. Now, Frost is considered mid to low tier, closer to that low tier kind of echelon. You feel me? Like, she has a lot of cool techniques, but like she's extremely slow, has a lot of slow startups on a lot of her moves, and she has like pretty bad recovery on a lot of her moves. On top of that, she has like a lot of moves that are very punishable, very punishable. And recently we just got a patch that made her a bit more viable. Now, she's not broken by any means, and I honestly feel that there were a few other buffs that they probably could have and should have given her, but they didn't. But I'm overall okay with the buffs that she got so far. So we're gonna get into her buffs in a minute. I want to talk about like one of the reasons that made her so low tier, and one of the reasons is that all her moves are a high. All of them. All of them. What else? All of them. Oops. Oops. Highs. She has so many highs. Like, the start of all her moves are all highs, which is bad, especially if you want to apply some sort of pressure to the opponent, because the opponent can literally just down one you. They can literally just sit there down one-ing. So like if they wake up, if you hit them in a situation where they have to then wake up, they can just wake up with a down one and interrupt any sort of pressure you want to apply on the opponent. See? You can't get nothing started. Can't get nothing started. This thing ended. See? Can't get nothing started. Can't get nothing started. Like, the minute you go to do something, it just gets interrupted with the low poke. They can wake up and low poke you to death. The low poke and the uppercut is Frost's worst nightmare. Like, unless I'm going in like that, like, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. So, like, well, this is before the patch. Like, there was nothing, because this move right here was not a very viable move. This move was extremely slow, and anytime you went to go wake somebody up, you would get punished. Now it's extremely viable because they made it a lot faster. Let's get into it. Let's get into it right now, as a matter of fact. So before, with this move, which was one of her worst moves in the game, the back one. The back one was horrible. It was a 16 frame startup. Now it's an 11 frame startup. They also buffed the recovery on it as well. So not only is it move faster, it actually recovered faster. You can actually see it in the animation that it's a lot faster in the animation. Like, this animation used to be so slow. Now it's a valuable mid. Now, for those who don't know, highs can be ducked. Highs, all of these moves right here can be ducked and low poked out of. Mids, on the other hand, are a bit different because you can't just neutral duck a mid. You can poke your way out of a mid if the mid is fast enough, but 9 out of 10 times you do a mid to apply that pressure, that mid is gonna win out over a low poke. So this made things much more viable because now you can go and apply that pressure. Somebody want to wake up and poke? Nope, get out of here. Whereas if before you go to apply pressure with something like this, like that first hit, this first hit right here would have just got low poked or uppercutted out of. Or you want to apply pressure like this, all that was highs. All that except for the second hit was a high. So you go to throw that out and they low poke you or uppercut you out of. You try to do something like this. Oops. You try to do something like that. Because this is a high, low poke. You try to do something like that. Because of this, you got low poked out of it. Now, And you would never ever want to do something like this from this close because it has a 19 frame startup. This move right here is actually slower than this one right here before it got buffed. So you never wanted to do this from up close. You always wanted to back up to do this particular move. This is a good whiff punish move and a good, you know, distance pressure kind of move. Never ever do you ever want to do it from this close because that's instant. It's slow. It's so slow. It is so slow. This was supposed to be the main up close pressure move, but this was even too slow. This was also really too slow, but they buffed it to where now it is a lot more viable and it's safer too. So let's get into these patch notes. Let's definitely get into the patch notes. So the back one now starts at 11 frames where it was at 16 frames. It also recovers 8 frames faster. So the recovery on it is so much faster that is if you do this first hit right here, that first hit is going to be so hard to punish. It's going to be so hard to punish. The next one is, so when you do the back 1-2, that right there, they improved the recovery frames on that. So they made it 13 recover 13 frames faster. So the recovery on this is ridiculously fast, making it pretty safe, honestly speaking. And then you have the whole combo, which the whole combo actually sucked. Now, if you notice, they made the last attack on that combo a high, which is fine because honestly speaking, if a person neutral ducked the last hit, like it would whiff anyway for most characters. Now they're saying that it's a high, so it's gonna just always whiff most characters that are ducking. Most of the time, you're not gonna finish this combo though, even though it does make you safe on block. Most of the time, you can just cancel it into something like that. That'll also make you kind of sort of safe, or just if you do confirm, you could do that. So that's one of the biggest buffs she got, and that's one of the best buffs she has because it now allows you to apply a pressure with Frost. You now have a valuable mid. You now have, now it doesn't have much range, but if you need more range, you can do the back two. You feel me? But it now gives you a valuable mid to kind of give in some more pressure, and that's what Frost needed. Like she was forced to play at this range right here. She was forced to play at this range because anything closer, she was too slow, and she would get poked out of any and all her attacks. Now her projectiles, kind of slow startup as well. They're high, so you can also duck it. This move right here is also a high, so they can also duck it. So also not the best zoner. Like, she gets out-zoned a lot by a lot of people. And she also had this, but this move is trash. It's trash. And this move actually got buffed, but the way they buffed it is still kind of trash. It's still kind of trash. Now, if you notice, I'm not enhancing it, but it's still moving forward. I think when I enhance it, it moves a bit further. Oh, it moves faster. I'm sorry. But that's terrible. That's terrible. This is they buffed it, but they didn't buff it in the right way, and I'll get to that in a minute. So we established that this right here is an awesome buff, the best buff she's gotten, honestly speaking, because it now gives her a very fast mid and a way to pressure you, especially in the corner. So if people trying to jump out, you got them. If they try to low poke, you got them. If they try to uppercut, you got them. Now, granted, the low poke and the uppercut is still faster than this move, the startup frames, but if you time it right, you can beat out their poke as well. It's easier to beat out their pokes and uppercuts to then go into like a full combo. You feel me? Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo, Frost! I'm gonna have fun playing with Frost now. I'm gonna have fun. So another move that they fixed is, another problem with Frost is she has stubby limbs. As you can see, like, not a lot of her attacks have range. So if you wanted to apply pressure, besides the fact that all of these being high and being extremely punishable, they have no freaking range. So like even her mid doesn't have any range, but at least the mid now can't be punished as easy with an uppercut, which causes a crushing blow. Like, Frost has very stubby limbs. This was her fastest low. But as you can see, it has no range. It has hardly no range. No range at all. This is her fastest low. So like if you getting up and you need to like poke somebody, this is what you would do. But again, the biggest issue, she has no range. Now granted, her down 4 has a lot of range on it, but it's a bit slow. You can't really poke your way out of it. Now what they did was they buffed her down 1. So her down 1 is not only 1 frame faster, so instead of it being 9 frames, whereas this is 8 frames, now this is 8 frames and this is 9 frames. So the biggest difference is this low profile, so if somebody jumps in, you can kind of catch them with that and then punish. But this one is just a good kind of wake-up move now. The problem I'm still having with this move right here is that sometimes you go to do it and that the ice clave comes out for whatever reason. They probably need to change that button somehow for the ice clave to come out different, because there's so many times where that happens, where you go in to throw out pokes and that ends up happening, and that could be really frustrating. But they did improve the speed on that by 1 frame. They improved the recovery frame on it as well, so you do recover faster from throwing out that poke. And they made it further. As you can see now, she kind of shoots something out of her hand. Before it was just a regular punch, but now she shoots something out of her hand, and it gave her more range. So as you can see, this doesn't reach. This doesn't reach. Now this is just as fast, but it does reach, and it gives them more stagger, if I'm not mistaken. Let me read exactly what's happening. So the frigid palm, down front punch, startup is now 8 frames where it was 9. Recovery on hit increased by 1 frame, so you recover faster on hit. Recovery on block and miss reduced by 2 frames. So if they block or you miss, it's actually slower. It's easier for them to punish. And the hit stun increased by 5 frames. So yeah. So the hit stun has increased by 5 frames. So they made it easier for you to do something like that. So they made it easier for you to then combo into your mid attack, which is awesome. Like, I could see people just waking up bong, just on some bong. Nope, that's enough. Going right into up. Going right into something like that. So I can see that happening now. I can definitely see that happening. Go into the next move now. The chest code, down front kick, around block. Down front kick. So, okay, so they did make tweaks to her down 3, which is this move right here. They didn't change the speed or anything on it. Recovery on block reduced by 2 frames, so they actually made it slower when they block. So if you poke, throw it out, and they block it, it's actually slower, so it's easier for you to get punished. Recovery frames on miss increased by 1 frame. Hit stun increased by 1 frame and had its hit region adjusted. So this is actually the move that they adjusted the hit region, which, honestly speaking, kind of sucks. Kind of sucks, because it doesn't have much range on it. Like, look, I'm missing, and I'm not that far. It's a kick. You would think that her legs would have longer range than her hands, but yeah. So they increased the hit stun on it by 1, and they also decrease like the recovery on it. So like if it gets blocked or whiffed, it's easier for you to get punished. Honestly speaking, this is the better move right now because it does have more stun on hit. So like they are staggering more, which makes it a little bit easier for you to punish. And that's even shown in the frame data. So as you can see here, 8 frame startup, hit advantage 11, block advantage is -3, and then when you look at here, the frames is still 8, the recovery is 14, whereas the recovery here is 15, and then the hit advantage is 15 at the cost of an extra slight disadvantage on block, which is still pretty safe, but the hit advantage is a lot more. You have four points of hit advantage. So honestly, the down 1 is now the better way to go with Frost. The problem is you're going to have to run into situations like that where you're trying to poke and that actually comes out by accident. So you just got to be real careful with that, because in the middle of the game, you're pressing down as well as throwing out the 1, and sometimes that can come out. I wish they made that more like a down 3 kind of situation, or like a down 1 situation, but I mean a down 4 situation, but that's not it. Now let's go into her other buffs. Now she had several buffs. Again, the most significant one is this one, and I could say this is probably a pretty significant buff as well. But let's go into her Microburst. Recovers 2 frames faster and recovers significantly faster if the second attack misses. So for example, this right here used to be extremely punishable, and it is still kind of sort of punishable, honestly speaking. But what it's saying is in situations where if you hit on the first hit, but the second one doesn't hit. What's the situation? Because there's situations where you do something like that and the second one doesn't hit, but the recovery on it is so slow that they can get right back up and you're back in the neutral. So what they're saying now is that like now the second hit recovers a lot faster, so it's not as easy to punish, which is good because honestly speaking, the Microburst is one of Frost's best moves. Now when you enhance it, it's pretty much the same if I'm not mistaken. They didn't really do much to an enhanced version of it. So yeah, hit advantage is 7, block advantage is 8, startup recovery is 26. Yeah, they didn't really do much. As you see, the block advantage is different. Before, the block advantage used to be the same. It used to be 16 for block advantage on both. So now this is a little bit faster. Next up is the Cryo Crown Explosion. Now, I don't have that variation right now, but that's the variation where her head comes off. And, yeah, that's the variation in which her head comes up and explodes and actually freezes you. I don't have that variation, but all only thing they did was they increased the range in which you would get hit. So it says the cryogenic crown explosion had its hit region increased, which is good because I actually complained about how that move is garbage because like it's really slow first of all, but not only that, the area in which you can get frozen is so small that they almost need to be standing on top of the head, which most people would just jump out the way or dash forward or something like that. Like it was so difficult to catch people with it. Now it's going to be a little bit more viable for the cryo-head. Still not a variation I intend to use though, because I think the cryo-head still sucks. The startup on it is way too slow. It's hard to make it a really safe move. And unless they made that explosion even faster, like I feel like it should explode a bit faster, and that the range, I hope they made the range a lot better because that it move needed. Now the next move is actually the move I hate the most from Frost because it fucking sucks, and I don't like the buff they made to it. They didn't make a good enough buff. So what they did, the Glacier Calving recovers 5 frames faster and shield duration is 2 seconds. Now doesn't say anything about the hit duration on this thing, which means this thing only takes 1 projectile still. They just said the shield's duration is 2 seconds longer. Is 2 seconds, which is only up from 1.5 seconds. So it's literally a 0.5 second longer it lasts out there. Literally. Now the enhanced one, the only good thing is that the recovery frames from it is a lot faster. So Frost actually recovers faster when she does it. And she recovers 5 frames faster. So that's good, I guess. And the enhanced one is only 1 frame faster. And it's out here for 3 seconds as opposed to 2 seconds. Now, that's not a good enough buff for me. That's not a good enough buff for me for something like this because, again, it only absorbs 1 hit. This is a game where most people have multiple projectiles. You feel me? So, like, this right here, I feel should at least have 2 hits. It should have at least 2 hits of armor to avoid people like Baraka or Sonya who can just enhance, or even Jade, who can enhance their projectiles and throw out 2 projectiles. If you do this, they enhance their projectile. The first projectile is going to break through it, and then the second one's going to hit you before you have a chance to start throwing out your own projectile. In fact, even if it's a Frost mirror match, if Frost throws out her projectile, her default projectile throws out 2 projectiles. So like her default thing wouldn't even be able to stop her ice glaive. Won't even be able to stop her default projectiles. You feel me? So like there's so many people who have so many good projectiles. Liu Kang, if Liu Kang enhances his projectile, he throws out 3 fireballs. Shang Tsung throws out 2 by default, and I think he could throw out 3. No, he throws out 1, but if he enhances it, he could throw out 2 or 3 depending on the variation you have. There's so many people who have so many ways to still zone you, and that's not even including the other zoning options those players have. Like Sonya has an overhead that she could drop the drone on your head. Shang Tsung has the little fireballs that come out the floor. Like those dudes, like they have abilities to enhance their zoning to throw out 2 projectiles, which will completely crush this Glacier Calving and still hit you. And if Sonya hits you with the second one, it's gonna crush and blow. So like this should absorb at least 2. At least 2. And making this absorb at least 2 does not make it OP at all. You would think that, oh, now this can absorb 2, now you can continue zoning. Like I said, most people have more than 1 projectile. Frost herself has 2 projectiles as well. Like that right there goes over the Glacier Calving. Shang Tsung has the fireballs. Liu Kang, he has 3 fireballs. So if this is blocking 2 of them, well then the third one's still gonna get through. So I won't be able to just throw this out and then go into my own zone with a person like Liu Kang. Sonya still has the overhead drone. So there's so many. Cassie Cage low profiles. So like she can just keep spamming her low profile. Yes, it'll take 2 hits, but I myself won't be able to zone her because like my attacks are highs and she'll low profile it. She'll completely duck under it. You have people like Jax who have the ground pound, Jax and Cetrion who have the ground pound, which the Glacier Calvin does not affect whatsoever. You also have people with like Scarlet who has the tongue. You also have people with teleports. There's several people in this game with a teleportation. Scorpion being one of them. Scorpion, Cetrion, freaking Jade even has a teleport in one of her movesets. I don't know if that's one of her variations, but I know she has a teleportation. Scarlet has a teleportation. The Garrus, there's so many people. The Collector, Raiden, freaking Liu Kang. So many people have teleportation. So by adding an extra hit to this Glacier Calving, it's not making it OP. It's making it viable. It's not, because right now, like even with this buff, this shit is still garbage. Like having it out there for longer, why? One hit is gonna go through it. First of all, I do this against Scorpion, he's gonna teleport. This is absolutely completely useless against Scorpion. I do this against Sonya. She enhances that projectile. I'm getting the crush and blow. Completely useless against Sonya. Completely useless against Baraka. Completely useless against any and every zoner. Mind you, this is a range that Frost should be good at because she's like mid to long range. She should be mid to long range, but that's not the case. So I digress. Let's get into the next buff that she got. Okay, and now the only other buff she has was a nerf to her uppercut. So before, there was a situation where Frost can throw out an uppercut. And then like on the first frame of activation, she could then do her fatal blow, like I just did right there. But they nerfed it to where now that's not possible. So like now you throw out an uppercut with Frost, and now you won't be able to get your fatal blow out, unless it's obviously a crushing blow. But before, it wasn't just a crushing blow, it was just her base uppercut. She can uppercut you and then go into a fatal blow. Now, I talked about all of the buffs that she has. I want to talk about the buffs they should have gave her, the extra buffs they should have gave her, which I already talked to you about how I felt about the ice cleaving and how that should get 2 hits. But another buff that they should have gave her, right, is this right here. This is the range Frost wants to get jiggy at. You feel me? This is the range Frost wants to get it in at. The problem is, this range is extremely inconsistent for Frost. Extremely inconsistent. So, yeah, you can do things like that, get the crush and blow, and then go into a combo. You can do things like that from that range. It is possible. You can do things like this to make it safe. If they block this right here, you can do things like this to make it safe. Or you can do things like this and go into a full combo with Frost. You feel me? So it is possible. The problem though, is with this range right here, which is Frost's ideal range, is how inconsistent it is. Now, what just happened? What just happened? I just proved to you that she can connect. But the problem is, if you connect it from the tip of her range, the furthest that this move right here will connect, none of her moves are going to finish. Like, you can't really do nothing with any of her moves. So for example, from this range, I can't do that to make it safe. So unless I enhance it, which then requires me to use meter. And the recovery on it, the recovery on there is not bad. It kind of puts us back at the neutral, but still, like, I've confirmed the hit. I should get the full combo. I shouldn't have to use a resource in order to make sure that the dude gets knocked down and I have the advantage on hit. Like, I shouldn't have to do that. Another thing too, I can't do my full combo starter if that move is too far. Like, if I connect this from too far away, I can't do my main combo starter. I can't do my combo. So it puts you in a position where you're not sure if you should go into this when you do that move, or if you should go into this when you do that move. It puts you in that predicament, because there's some times where I want to go into a combo starter, but I do it from far away. Now, this has actually happened in tournament. It has happened in tournament where people go like that. They do this move, and they try to enhance it for a combo, and the move misses. Now, not only did it just miss, you used up a resource. You used up a meter. So now, now they've completely recovered. You are, for the most part, back at the neutral, and you've used up a particular resource. In fact, if the opponent's fast enough, they might even be able to punish you while you're still freezing, truthfully speaking. So this was something I would have liked for them to work on. I would have liked for them to make this a lot more consistent. Even with the crushing blow, if you do the crushing blow from that far, sometimes you can't really get in fast enough. I was able to do it there, but there's times where I did this crushing blow and I'm not even able to get in fast enough because it puts you a little, just a tad further. A tad further. See? It makes it a lot more difficult. This one I'm a little closer. But even still, as you can see, I wasn't able to finish the whole combo. There we go. I was able to get it. It's inconsistent is my biggest issue. I would have liked for them to make this move right here a bit more consistent. And the way they could have did this is with the second hit not being as bad on stagger. As you can see, Scorpion staggers very far back. Even on the first hit. Look how far back he staggers. Now, like, I would have liked for it to be adjusted to where if he hits you with this, it's more of a hit stun, where he kind of maybe steps back a little bit, but nowhere near as far. Like, look how far he steps. He steps back like 4 steps. Let him step back like 1. If he could do that and maybe step back 1 step, then that sets him up for this right here to where she's closer. She's now a lot closer when she does this second hit. Because the second hit is the issue right here. Now the second hit also staggers them even further back. So they take it like another 2 steps back with the second hit. And that's what's causing the issue. It's mostly the first and the second hit combined. Now, if they did a situation where maybe she does this and they stumble back, but the second hit doesn't cause them to stumble back, then that could be another way they can fix it. So either do something like this where instead of them stepping like 4 steps back on that hit, make them step back one or 2 steps, or do a situation where the second hit doesn't cause them to step back at all. The only time they step back is when they get hit with the first one. But if you hit them with the second one, then they just kind of get stunned, allowing you to be able to get this move off or get the Microburst off. You feel me? Or I mean, and even get your crush and blow off, and having you in a situation where you can get your crush and blow, you can combo into your crush and blow a bit more easy. I dropped it right there. A bit more easy. So those are the buffs for Frost. I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure you like, subscribe, favorite, all that good stuff. I hope you learned something about Frost. If there's something about Frost that you would have liked to see buff or upgrade, please leave it in the comments below, because right now, like this upgrade right here is awesome. I like that because it allows you to apply a lot more pressure with Frost. I like the fact that they fixed her down 1, but in my opinion, that's all they did. Everything else is kind of not good. Like they also recovered this, which is also good, so it's a little bit harder, but the range on this is terrible. Like they could at least fix the range. Look where I'm standing at. Like I gotta be like hugging this dude's dick in order to hit him. What? Look. So like it's crazy. Like her range, they want you to fight her from this kind of range right here, but then again, like everything, because she has stubby arms, stubby limbs and stuff like that, like you need to fight her like right here, which her not having a really good mid until now made it really difficult. So I'm glad they gave her a good mid, but there's still a lot more work they need to do with her. For example, making the consistency to this move, which is still one of her best moves, making the consistency of this move a lot better. Because it just makes no sense that sometimes, depending on how far, like if this hit, you should be able to go into all your combos. You should be able to go into that. You should be able to go into the Microburst. Right? I shouldn't have to be this close in order to go into my combo starter, my main combo starter, or just a move that I want to do to keep myself safe. You feel me? So with that being said, if you like this video, smack that like button. If you hate it, smack that dislike button. Make sure to put your comments in the comments below to let me know what you would change about Frost, what you would buff about Frost. If you agree with me, disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. And remember, your life is a fantasy.